hard route.
Call the meeting to order. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
The next item on the agenda is the moment of silence to be led by our board clerk, Mr. Jerry Denton.
As we begin this meeting, let us pause for a 60-second moment of silence to reflect, meditate, pray, or engage in other silent activity. Thank you.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. The Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Mr. Jerry Denton.
If you'll please stand. Salute. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Okay, before we move to formally adopt the agenda, I need to call to attention a couple of changes. First, we will withdraw item number 8, and from there, the numbering will, of course, proceed to 9, etc., down until item number 17, number 16 will become, or number 72 will become number 16. So it actually will fit immediately after the comments from the public. Again, we withdraw number 8, and then we take item number 72, and it will become item number 16. With that, I would entertain a motion.
I make a motion to accept the stated changes to the agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and second to formally adopt the agenda with the stated changes. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes. The next item are the minutes of July 10th, 2017. I would certainly entertain any comments. If not, would entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the July 10th, 2017 regular board meeting minutes. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Abstain.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes. The next item are the July 19th, 2017 special board meeting minutes.
One second, I just didn't get voting.
Okay, sorry.
buttons.
Got it?
Did it go away?
Yeah, I don't have them, so just
Do you need to go back?
maybe you can do a manual count.
Okay, are we ready to move forward?
Yes.
Okay, the next item would be the July 19th, 2017 special board meeting minutes. If you have any comments or questions, I would entertain those. Outside of that, entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the July 19th, 2017 special board meeting minutes. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes. The next item is under the summary of awards and achievements. Ms. Jennifer Peterson.
Good evening, Vice President Kelly, Dr. Dunlop, and members of the board. Tonight I'm here to recognize Karen Snyder, a 4th grade teacher at Spring Creek Elementary, who has been nominated by Madison Saliba, one of our, she is actually a Big 12
Thank you. She is a Big 12 athlete featured in its Champions for Life campaign, and I'd like to read briefly. And unfortunately, Miss Snyder is not, I do not, oh, she is here, yay, good, okay, good deal. I want to briefly read a portion, and it says, the Big 12 and the CFP Foundation believe that teachers are the fabric of the American education system, and recognizing the tremendous dedication of role models is critically important to both organizations. Karen Snyder was nominated by Madison Saliba, who was one of the Big 12 student athletes featured in Champions for Life campaign. Madison had this to say about Miss Snyder. She's one of the kindest, most compassionate women I know. She took a special interest in her students in the classroom and in life beyond that. Looking back on it now, she impacted my life in ways that I was not aware of at the time. She played an important role in the student, the athlete, and the person that I am today. And through this nomination, Ms. Snyder will be receiving a $1,000 Donors Choose gift certificate that she can utilize to purchase supplies within her classroom.
Outstanding.
Ms. Snyder, would you mind standing up? I just want to say thank you very much for your hard work and your dedication and the impact that you're making not only on this student, but all the students that come in contact with you daily.
Yes, and Ms. Snyder, I also want to echo that it is an exceptional opportunity when you get students to nominate you for something. That is probably the most precious thing that a teacher can receive, and I certainly want to congratulate you on that. The next item is item number 9, actually, and it's Dr. Coates.
Good evening, Vice President Kelly and the board and Dr. Dunlop. Wanted to visit with you about our scholarships that our students here in Broken Arrow received during the 2016-17 school year. The scholarships are broken down into 4 categories. We have academic scholarships, fine art scholarships, local scholarships, and Tulsa Achieve scholarships. Our students received almost $8 million in scholarships this year, $7.959 million. I'll give you a breakdown. Our academic scholarships were $5,762,000. Our fine arts scholarships, $1,060,000. And then local scholarships were $95,000. And then Tulsa Achieve scholarships, those are our students who go to TCC. That was $1,041,000. And so just as a comparison from last year to this year, we are down a little bit. So we are down about $783,000. So our goal this year is to just knock the socks off of that $8 million and get as much for our students as we possibly can.
I do have a question on
Yeah.
that. Our counselors, I know they have a lot to do.
Yes.
But in recognizing or acknowledging what scholarships are out there, a lot of times I hear from parents that they're just not aware that they have these opportunities. So I'm certain that we are constantly working to improve those processes so that we can get that information to students.
We are. It's one of our goals with our college and career counselors, and just getting the word out to parents is very important. And so that is going to be a focus this year with our students to make sure that there are so many scholarships out there. A lot of times parents and students, they don't even know where to start to begin looking. And so that is our goal, to communicate in a more effective way with our families.
Thank you for bringing the information
Yeah.
forward. The next item, Dr. Dunlop.
Good evening, Vice President Kelly, members of the board. Tonight I have the distinct honor to recognize our local PTA. You know, we've always had a very, very supportive PTA in Broken Arrow, but under Jane York's leadership and the new council that she has built, they have continued to go above and beyond. This year, they were recognized as the Oklahoma PTA Outstanding Council Award by the state of Oklahoma. And I'd like to read just a quick excerpt of some of the reasons why they were recognized. The Broken Arrow PTA goals of increasing community involvement, creating a more collaborative culture, between school district units and district PTA council, and targeted financial support that directly impacts the student experience has greatly impacted the ability for our district to serve our students and teachers. Oftentimes, as school leaders, we have organizations and groups that offer to help us in these times of need. However, many times, these groups have a specific program or interest that they want to support. Our PTA instead asks what we need, and they really listen. So please join me in recognizing our PTA president and chapter in this honor of Oklahoma PTA Outstanding Council Award.
So I want to introduce, my board is in the back. So if you all will come up and bring your children with you. We brought our kids with us tonight. They were super excited to come to a school board meeting, don't you know? But we reminded them that we support them in all they do. So if you would come up, all of these ladies volunteer at their own local school on their PTA boards. And I've had the pleasure of volunteering now for 11 years in Broken Arrow. And I do have a senior in the back over there and a freshman. This year, though, our board has just been incredible. And some of you have heard some of these things that we've done before, but we were able to, as a group, give $168,000 in direct student support this year. We visited the Capitol. We hosted legislative forums. We are currently attending parent legislative action committees with Bixby and Jenks. We've joined the Chamber of Commerce. We've attended Board of Education meetings. We really feel like PTA truly should be advocates for our kids. And so we are thrilled to receive this honor and just to be part of Broken Arrow Public Schools. So thank you.
Ms. York, one of the things that I loved most, the change that you made this year, is in your council meetings, you featured students. And that was something new. Who would have thought to actually feature students? But we had the JROTC, we had students at we had the leadership students from the high school. And I love that because that really got to the heart of exactly what PTA is about and what we believe in here in Broken Arrow. So we appreciate that.
You'll want to come to our first meeting.
Okay, we'll be there.
Jungle Squad.
Ms. York, I would like to go ahead and thank the PTA. Broken Arrow Public Schools has always historically had a fantastic PTA, very supportive within our schools and our community. We could not be as successful as we are without our PTA. You guys are the lifeblood. You help us with our students, and that's our #1 priority. So thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item, Dr. Dunlop.
Okay, again, Ms. Kelly, members of the board, in case you had a really extended vacation this summer and didn't hear the news, our very own Miss Donna Grottle was named in July as one of the top 12 finalists for our State Teacher of the Year. It's actually September 19th at 8:30 a.m. We will have the pleasure of going to the state fairgrounds to see the ceremony when they will determine our Oklahoma Teacher of the Year. And we will be rooting for Miss Grottle because we know in our hearts she absolutely deserves to be our State Teacher of the Year. One of the wonderful pleasures that we're going to get this evening, because they have already gone through the process at the state to determine, we get to watch the video that our very own Greg Spencer made for Mrs. Grottle as part of that application process. And it really gets to the heart of exactly who she is and why she deserves this honor.
I began my teaching career not exactly how I had planned it. I went to West Virginia University on a women's basketball scholarship, and so my dream was to teach high school science and coach girls basketball. When I got out of college, there were no science jobs, so I ended up in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains, standing in a trailer, teaching 19 special needs students on an emergency certification. Like I said, not how I planned it, but it was in that trailer where I really developed my teaching philosophy and also my teaching style, which I've maintained now for 29 years of my teaching career. Within that trailer, I realized that every student matters and that each student has potential to learn, regardless of where their starting point is. That students are interested in nature and science and discovery, and that they have a very strong sense of purpose in their life. They want to make a difference, and they want to have an impact on their world. And so that's kind of the package and how I developed my teaching philosophy and style through the years.
Well, Donna Grottle is the teacher that goes so far above and beyond what is expected from a teacher. It's incredible. She has such talent and intelligence that she could probably do anything she wanted as far as occupations. Yet she's had this dedication to serving students for so many years.
When I talk to these students, whether they are students who simply have the opportunity to sit in her class each day, or students who have worked on these research projects, they all remark about how their own vision of the world has been enlarged, about how they feel like bigger, more informed, better people, just from the opportunity to be exposed to Ms. Grottle and to her teaching. And for that, I can't help but think that every student who is fortunate enough to sit in her classroom any day, any year, will be better for the rest of their lives as a result.
Mrs. Grottle is such a unique teacher because of her energy and passion. She approaches each day as if it's her first day of school, as if she's a new teacher, and she sees each student as an individual, trying to meet their needs as well as the needs of everyone in the classroom.
She is honestly kind of intimidating when you don't know her, just because you hear about what she does with Invent Team, and she goes to Africa every summer, and so I really didn't get to know her until my senior year. And I cannot say enough about who she is as a person and as a role model and just as a teacher.
We're facing tremendous challenges today in Oklahoma and throughout the nation in public education. But I'm a firm believer that with great challenges comes great opportunities. Those opportunities for our students to learn and grow and be a part and have an impact on solving relevant real-world problems is a must in the classroom today. As a high school student, I would have never dreamed that I would have an opportunity, and never did have an opportunity, to try to save a living species, be a part of that, or to develop and design a sustainable park, or to play a role in providing clean water for orphans on the other side of the world, or protein for those who are protein deficient on the other side of the world. But my students have all had the opportunity to do that. And it's because where there are great challenges, there's great opportunities.
My favorite thing about her is that she doesn't look as problems in the world as a negative thing. She looks at them as a chance to change the world in a positive way. She looks at them as a true opportunity to be influential in someone else's lives, and that has been a really big part of my senior year as I'm looking to the future and what I want to do and who I want to be in the world, and just not looking at challenges in a bad way but in a positive way, and looking at them as an opportunity to grow and make the world a better place.
I think one of the key elements is not just the class time, but also spending time with them out of the classroom, regardless of whether it's going to some activity that they're involved in or participating in something that you sponsor. Those moments that you invest in those students, they reap great rewards in terms of relationships and how those students feel about you and how you interact with them.
Mrs. Grottle is one of the most caring and loving people I know. She's so willing to, just step out of her way to make sure that all of her students are succeeding in whatever that is, whether it be her class alone or just in school in general. I remember she would always reach out to me and just make sure I'm doing okay. And she'd make personal connections with the students, and that's something that really just stood out to me.
Mrs. Grottle is one of the most magnificent people I've ever met. She has such a passion for her students and for academics and for their success overall. when I had gotten the honor of U.S. Presidential Scholar, she was the very first person I told. She just told me how incredibly proud she was of me, and I feel like I don't have that relationship with most teachers. And so she's just amazing, and she cares so much on a depth that's greater than, a lesson plan.
One of my philosophies has always been to be real. I am who I am, and in my classroom, it's really important, and I've discovered that students really appreciate it when they see a teacher who has the ability to laugh at themselves and enjoy what they're doing, but also has a very serious, passionate, and intense side when it comes to learning and it comes to the details of certain things. But yet, through all that process, at the end, we can enjoy and learn together and grow together.
I think one thing that makes Donna so unique among some fantastic peers is that truly the world is her classroom.
One of the things that we're most proud of here at Broken Arrow are two projects that are international projects that we began about 5 years ago. One is titled Aquifer Tharaka. The other one was a collaboration with the Lemelson MIT grant. Both of them were aimed at providing clean water and protein for needy orphans in a remote region of Kenya. The first one, Aquifer Tharaka, students designed, came up with a name, fundraised, and raised the money to have a well drilled to provide clean water for a remote village, school, and medical clinic, as well as spent a year through the class designing aquaponic systems, which eventually a group of my students traveled to Kenya and built at an orphanage. Subsequently, we received a grant from MIT to work on trying to solve another problem, and that was the cost of the fish food.
One of the things that Ms. Grottle did to inspire me was start a project called Invent Team. The first year of Invent Team was my sophomore year of high school, and we worked through a project called Lemelson MIT, which gives out grants to 10 different schools across the nation. So we got to do research to make an invention, but our invention wasn't another gadget or something to help out people in America. It was a new fish food formula for an orphanage in Kenya to bolster a project that Ms. Grottle had already started a couple years back. And the second year of Invent Team, we prepped to go on a trip to Africa the next summer. And I actually got to go on that trip with 3 other students, and it was one of the greatest experiences of my life.
When you think about someone in their profession and having the ability to do well, usually you think about the small circle that they may impact, meaning their own students. And Donna does that, and she does it better than any I've seen. But she also goes outside of that circle to state, and then to country, and then to world. She has opened up the world to her students in ways they never would have experienced without her leadership. And to be able to provide that gift to a student, that's a life changer.
I can think of no better example that I'd want to hold up to a young teacher and say, this is who you can aspire to be, or to a student and say, this is what you can dare to dream, because of the influence of someone like Donna Grottle. She would be a tremendous ambassador, and is a tremendous ambassador for our school and for our city, and would be, I believe, a tremendous ambassador for our entire state.
So it is my honor to introduce State Teacher of the Year finalist, Mrs. Donna Grottle.
Thank you, Dr. Dunlop. Thank you, Board of Education. And thank you, Greg Spencer, for making me look so good. You know, going through the process with the other finalists has been just one of the most magnificent things I've ever had the opportunity to do, because honestly, any of the 12 finalists would make a fabulous representative for the state of Oklahoma. After spending 4 days with them, they're all marvelous. But one of the things that I really learned was how much more support I had from my district going through the process than some of the other candidates. Some of the other candidates had to make their own video with their phone, and I had an expert, Greg Spencer, to do mine, and he spent countless hours, and even, you know, we did one take of the interviews, and I knew it wasn't any good. But he was so nice. He said, you know, I think maybe we can do a little better. And, you know, he just is so thoughtful and so meticulous in throughout the process. And then you can see the wonderful end result. And then in addition to that, we have, you know, former Teachers of the Year that I met with that had gone through the process, which really comforted me and let me know, you know, what I needed to do going forward. It's just been a tremendous amount of support. And then I have to go back to about a little bit over 3 or 4 years ago, the first time that I went to MIT, and I told this story on my interview. There were 30 teachers from around the country that were invited onto the campus of MIT, and they were basically checking us out to see if they thought we could finish this long process, if they gave us this grant. So when I came back, the first person that I went to see was Dr. Dunlop, because I knew that this was going to be a huge undertaking, and I knew that we were in the process of a lot of changes at the high school, and so I knew I needed to go talk to somebody who understood the magnitude of what we were going to undertake. And she has been so supportive all along the way from that very, very day. And I say thank you so much for that, because I really believe without those projects, and of course without all the students and all the other help, the help from the community, the support. I mean, we traveled to Africa twice. We traveled to Cambridge. We had to raise the money to build all of that you saw that was in Africa. That all started from scratch. So this has been a 5-year huge undertaking, and without the support of the community, without the support of the Broken Arrow school community, the parents, the students, you know, I wouldn't be standing here. So I just say thank you, and I can honestly say that my prayer before last week in the interview was, please don't let me embarrass Broken Arrow, and I don't think I did. So I thank you for all that, and I appreciate it, and it's an honor to be one of the finalists for the Teacher of the Year. Thank you.
Ms. Grottle, we wish you all of the luck in the world. You don't need luck. Actually, you're going to do a fantastic job, and we expect that you will be our Teacher of the Year for the entire state of Oklahoma. So thank you for all that you've done. All right, the next item has to do with employment. Dr. Coates.
Good evening again, and boy, that's a tough act to follow right there. So, you know that what people do when they go drop the mic, that's what I feel like. Drop the mic, we're done. She's so good. So I bring to you tonight a discussion, motion, and vote on motion to approve or disapprove the offer of employment to an individual to serve as the Sequoia Middle School assistant principal, with such employment subject to a mutually acceptable and fully executed written contract of employment. This person I bring to you tonight is a Kansas boy, but we won't hold that against him. He graduated from the University of Central Oklahoma with his master's degree, and he's taught PE. He was an ISP teacher, social studies teacher, most recently a social studies teacher at Oliver Middle School. And he is a huge loss to our athletic department, but I think they're okay with that because they're excited for this opportunity for him. He was the head football coach for 8th grade and then coordinated the 8th grade football program. And so I bring to you tonight Mr. James Beach as assistant principal for Sequoia Middle School.
Okay. If there are any questions, I would field those right now. If not, I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
We have a motion and second to offer the employment to Mr. James Beach to serve as Qualia Middle School Assistant Principal with the employment subject to a mutually acceptable and fully executed written contract. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Beach, you want to stand up again for a round of applause? Hold on. Do you have some special people with you here tonight that you'd like to introduce? All right, thank you, and welcome to the administrative family.
The next item, Mr. Chuck Perry.
Good evening, Vice President Kelly, Dr. Dunlop, members of the board. When Amanda Summers went from the Chief Communications Officer position to assistant principal at the Freshman Academy, we really felt like with our growing district, we needed to kind of think outside the box on how we wanted to structure things to continue better communicating with our staff, our patrons, and the public in general through the media. So we made some decisions to divide that one position up into two smaller positions per se, with a director of public relations and a director of communications. I'm bringing forward to you tonight the public relations division, which will handle most of the external communication in the district in regard to the media and dealing with some organizations attached to the school district, such as the foundation, the Alumni Association, but again, the big thing is the media. Bringing to you tonight Mr. Charlie Hanema recommendation for the Director of Public Relations. He is a graduate of the University of Missouri School of Journalism. He began his career in 2006 as a sports reporter and anchor and producer in a station in Columbia, Missouri, and eventually rose to the ranks of a sports reporter and anchor at our local KOTV station, CBS, here in Tulsa, and spent 5 years there. And that's the first time I was able to meet him on the sidelines at football games, covering those, and became a BA fan during that time period. And then this past year moved to Fayetteville, Fort Smith, Arkansas, to host the top-rated morning and noon news show also there. But he missed the Broken Arrow area and Tulsa area, and we're glad to have him here. And what I've told him is he knows the media. He's one of them, so I think that will help us as a school district. So I'd like to recommend Mr. Hanema to the Director of Public Relations.
Right. If there are no questions, I'd accept a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve employment to Mr. Charlie Hanema to serve as the Director of Public Relations with the employment subject to a mutually acceptable and fully executed written contract. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Hanema, would you like to stand and give you a round of applause? We are anxious for him to be the face of the district in a lot of areas. Again, with the growing needs, and you saw the quality of work with the video there and our AeroVision team. On the next item, would like to recommend Mr. Greg Spencer as the Assistant Director of Public Relations. Currently, he serves as the Video Production Manager at the school, and he received his degree from the University of Oklahoma, which is a Bachelor of Arts and Sciences in Film and Video Studies, and also actually taught and coached basketball at Miami High School. His dad was a teacher here in the Broken Arrow District many years ago, so he comes from an education background. He started one of the first webcasting programs in Oklahoma for Mount St. Mary's High School in the Oklahoma City area, and we hired him in 2014 to take over our video production class at the high school. When he started, he had 7 students in the program. This past year, we have 100+ students enrolled with 5 different courses in the video production arena. So we feel like he has a big role in the district and in branding, and obviously nationally known now with our America's Most Spirited High School through that video. So I'd like to recommend promoting Greg Spencer to the Assistant Director of Public Relations.
Okay, if there are no questions, I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve?
Second. We have a motion and second to approve the employment of Mr. Greg Spencer to serve as the Assistant Director of Public Relations with the employment subject to a mutually acceptable and fully executed written contract. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Spencer, I'll let you stand and introduce your family there tonight.
Thank you. This is one half of my dynamic duo, Brody Spencer, who's going to be starting along with Braden at Creekwood Pre-K on Thursday, so I'm really excited about that. And this is my wife, Ashley Spencer.
And Ashley handles the yearbook at the high school right now, so make a great team. Thank you.
Thank you. The next item, Miss Lori Tiger.
Good evening. The other half of the communications plan, of course, very important, is internal communications as we look at our websites and our writing and getting our own positive story out and our social media. And a bright shining star within our district for several years now has been Miss Christina Dixon. So as my role has started to evolve and change, I'm going to get the awesome opportunity to work with Communications Division, and that work has already been begun, and I'm already extremely impressed of how passionate Ms. Dixon is about the role that she already has and the potential that this role has for her. Christina is an Oklahoma State graduate, so obviously a brilliant person with a degree in journalism and broadcasting. She has worked in communication fields for 7 years, with the last 4 being in Broken Arrow. She manages all of the district's growing social media accounts, created content for district website, written articles for internal and external publications. She has received recognition for her writing and her social media platforms from the National School Public Relations Association and Public Relations Society American Tulsa chapter. She does an excellent job of going out and soliciting positive news for us, not just to defend ourselves in media, which will be hand in hand with our new PR director, but also to tell all the wonderful stories as we've heard tonight. And she also plays a big part in photography with those stories. She is a very impressive person. She was also a part of a graduate of the 2016 Leadership Broken Arrow, and I believe she has special people that she'll introduce tonight as well, but I would like to recommend Christina Dixon as the new Director of Communications.
All right. If there are no questions, I'd entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve?
Second. We have a motion and second to employ Ms. Christina Dixon to serve as the Director of Communications with the employment subject to a mutually acceptable and fully executed written contract. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
So tonight with me is my husband Brock, and my mom, Cindy Hines, and she's a Broken Arrow graduate, 1985.
Congratulations.
The next item on the agenda are the comments from the public. Seeing that we do not have any, we'll move to the next item on the agenda. Okay. Excuse me, I'm backing up. And, these kind of things happen when you adjust the agenda, so I'm going to let you just go ahead and move forward with the item that's been moved in this slot.
Very good.
Thank you.
Vice President Kelly, Dr. Dunlop, members of the board. I actually appreciate you moving me up to the section where we're celebrating employment and all the great achievements, because even though I'm up here to talk about mold remediation, I feel like it should be a celebration of our operations department as to how well they did this summer. We had a lot on our plate with opening a new school, reopening Sequoia, putting Freshman Academy under construction, Kirkland under construction, and then in June when we found more leaky windows and mold out at Country Lane Intermediate, they stepped up, worked together, and I am proud to say our teachers are back in Country Lane Intermediate as of Friday. Everybody was in. So let's celebrate that. So I appreciate that of the group, and I wanted to share with you tonight really kind of the timeline that happened and where we are today, and then also the encumbrances that you'll see on the encumbrance report tonight. So basically this whole thing started when I just made a casual comment when I was out at the site to the principal. I said, so now I assume, since I haven't heard anything lately, that we finally stopped all the leaky windows. And he said, oh no, leaks every time it rains really hard. But Mr. Moose is really good at cleaning it up. Okay, so I decided, enough. I'm tired of the runaround, tired of the excuses. Let's get somebody out here and take one of these windows apart. So that's exactly what we did. On June 8th, we removed a window, and we identified the problem that we were having with the windows, and we identified, we've got some mold here too. So at that point, we started researching solutions to our window issue, and we took air quality and mold tests. We received those test results about a week later, and we started obtaining quotes to fix the windows and to remove the sheetrock and fix the mold issue. We had a painting contractor who was contracted in early June start painting the site in the hallways and commons areas, and we thought, we could probably use this to our advantage if we are careful on how we schedule him. It took us a little while to get glass companies to respond and sheetrock companies to respond, but we did finally take a PO to the July 10th board meeting that started the removal of the sheetrock and the removal of the mold. And then July 13th, we issued a purchase order to have the windows reset, or what we call wet set them, to fix the leaks in those. And that work started, you'll see on the spreadsheet that I handed out to you sooner. As we started removing sheetrock and resetting windows, we found more classrooms that we needed to do that in than we initially thought. And we realized, okay, we're going to have to replace the base on that exterior wall, and there's going to be some additional work. So you see that there's some additional purchase orders to Talon that will actually be on the encumbrance report tonight, which is part of the consent agenda for that scope of work. And then even a blanket purchase order entered as late as last week, as we need to pay the contractors to accelerate their cost a little bit, or accelerate their work a little bit, so that we could have all teachers in by Friday the 11th, knowing that we're starting school this Thursday. So that's really kind of the time frame that played out for us, and we were able to do a lot of the work in-house, as far as we did all of the cleaning and custodial work. The warehouse folks helped move all the furniture and make sure everything was taken care of for teachers. And then we still have, I think we have the shiniest floors. I think Mr. Moose is one of our best custodians, shining floors. It's like you can't even tell we were in there working. And to me, that is so impressive. I appreciate our construction department and our maintenance department for stepping up and making it a priority, and still being able to provide healthy classrooms to our students.
Well, Ms. Bergwall, this is a pretty big undertaking in that short a period of time.
It
and
was.
So, yes, absolutely, we need to thank all of our staff members who were part of that to get us ready for the most important thing is for when the students do arrive, and arrive in a well situation. So thank you for that, and certainly I know that you've taken the time and opportunity to thank staff members as well.
Yes, ma'am. And with that, I do believe we made this an action item to accept my report. Unless you have further questions.
Ms. Bergwell, I had one other question. You mentioned that we already had painters there, and that was paid out of which fund?
That was bond funds, and it was bond fund 34. And it did happen to be the same contractor that was working on the sheetrock work. I think because they were there, they gave us a better price than the others that we saw. Their price was $343 per room, whereas our other quote we got was $1,200 per room, and then we could not get anybody else to actually submit a number to us.
All right, I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
Second. We have a motion and second to approve the Country Lane Intermediate Mold Remediation Report. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes, thank you. The next item on the agenda is the general consent agenda, items 17 through 68. Nothing was brought to my attention, so I would entertain a motion to that effect.
Sorry to interrupt, but did you do the public comments one? Or was
Yes, I
that
did.
prior
Well,
to-
I did, but that was before. I thought I did, yes. But you know what? I am so glad we're all on point today. Okay. Very good point, Mr. Denton. A moment ago, I said something about the public comments, but I went out of sequencing here, so he's brought me back to earth. And the public comment section, right now, we do not have anyone to speak to that, so we'll move forward to the general consent agenda items. Items number, as I said, 17 through 68. So I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve?
Second. We have a motion and second to approve the general consent agenda items 17 through 68. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes. Thank you. The next item, under the Superintendent and Board of Education Communications, Dr. Dunlop.
Yes, Ms. Kelly, this item is each year in the fall and then again in the spring, we have our annual board showcase. And basically what it is it's an opportunity for our board and any community members that want to join us to take a tour of some of our highlights and some of the great things that are happening around the district. So we bring to you this evening 2 possible dates for consideration, and those dates are October 24th or November 1st. So I open that up for discussion.
Just a comment on the 24th or 7th or the 1st. Either one of those dates are fine with me, but certainly you guys may have a conflict.
I'm actually open for any of those days as well, so whatever works best.
I'm good. Either one.
So
I prefer November 1st, but doesn't matter.
Okay. Then,
I prefer November 1st.
okay,
I'm good with that.
that's fine.
It'll
We
be
can do
different.
November 1st. I would entertain a motion to that effect.
Okay. Make a motion to set the fall board showcase for November 1st, 2017.
Second.
We have a motion and second to set the fall board showcase date for November the 1st, 2017. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes. The next item, Dr. Dunlop.
Yes, this item is, again, a discussion, motion, and vote on a scheduled trip with the Broken Arrow Chamber of Commerce. This trip is to Carmel, Indiana. And the reason for this trip is, in a nutshell, Carmel, Indiana has experienced the same type of growth that we have here in Broken Arrow. Their high school is very, very similar to ours. They also just happen to have an amazing band. We compete against them in Grand Nationals each year. But the biggest impetus of this trip is that they have, in the last few years, created an innovation district. And as you know from last spring, this was an announcement that was made through our Chamber of Commerce that Broken Arrow itself is taking on this challenge of creating an innovation district. So this motion is to send 2 Board of Education members on this trip to take a look at their community and how they've tied their innovation district to their high school and to their school district. And so I bring to you a recommendation, vote on a motion to approve or disapprove sending 2 Board of Education members to the Carmel trip. The total cost of the district is $800 and will be paid with our Board of Education funds.
So I'd open it up to discussion, but, and see if anyone's interested in going. I certainly have been a part of taking these trips before and would be certainly glad to do it. But
And
again,
that's in conjunction with like city council and some others
yes,
from the
city council,
EDC.
the EDC, the school district, and
Mhm.
really, this has been a very good trip for best
Right.
practices, not only with the district, but in concert with our city and community.
No, I can't go.
I could go if you don't.
I'm fine
I
with.
don't know, has anyone asked Mr. Allen?
Yes.
And is he?
And, no, he's not.
He's on it.
Go
Does you
ahead.
want to go?
I'm perfectly fine with you going, so if you and Cheryl would happily
Well,
represent us.
let me also say that this date, the 3 dates, it's a Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and it will mean that that board meeting, 2 will not be in attendance, so there'll need to be 3 here
Correct.
to have a quorum.
Okay.
So I will not be, if the board determines, if Teresa and I go, then we would not be at that board meeting on Monday night. We would need to have the other
Understood.
others here.
Better hope nobody gets sick.
Okay. Well, I think
So I would-
we have it pretty well set. I mean, we don't have to state the ones that are attending, but just
No,
that.
just approve
So,
two board
okay.
members.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve sending Ms. Cheryl Kelly and Dr. Teresa Williamson, 2 Board of Education members on the 2017 Chamber Retreat in Carmel, Indiana. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
Yes.
Mr. Denton,
Yes.
Ms. Kelly.
Yes. The next item under Operations Services, Mr. Bob Tolomeo.
Good evening, Vice President Kelly, Dr. Dunlop, members of the board. I'm here to ask for you guys to reject the bid received from Architectural Materials for the Performing Arts Center renovation project's operable partition bid package and accept the best company's bid for that same bid package. Architectural Materials has not executed a contract, so we will be pulling their bid bond and we're going to the next lowest bidder.
Okay. If there are no comments, I would entertain a motion.
What was the problem?
It was a personal matter in-house. They had a death in the family. It's a company of about 3 or 4, so it's a small company. We will go after their bid bond because that qualifies for going after their bid bond. It does take about 6 months to qualify to get that check back in the mail. So that $3,000 difference, $2,969 will come from the contingency within the GMP.
Okay.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the rejection of the bid received from Architectural Materials for the Performing Arts addition and renovation project. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
Yes.
Mr. Denton,
Yes.
Ms. Kelly.
Yes. The next item under Instructional Services, Dr. Coates.
Good evening again. I bring to you an informational item tonight. This is about the Margaret Hudson program and what we have done as a district with all the changes with Margaret Hudson. So our district has had almost a 49-year partnership with Margaret Hudson. The Margaret Hudson organization itself dissolved recently at the beginning of July due to just lack of funding from United Way and other supports that they were not able to receive, but we felt like it was very important to continue the supports for the students that we had currently in our district, and then we partner with 10 other school districts in this regard. So what we've done is we have changed the name from Margaret Hudson to Mentoring Healthy Parents. So we kept the MHP. So we're all used to MHP. So now it's Mentoring Healthy Parents, and we're going to focus on serving both the teenage mothers and teenage fathers to provide support for the entire family. We are also proud to say that we have a partnership with St. John's Health System to provide some of the medical care, and Ms. Galloway is going to talk a little bit more about that when she gets up here with us. So they are partnered with us, and also Blossom Daycare. Initially, we were really concerned about what we were going to do with those babies, with the girls' babies, because we knew if they did not have adequate daycare, that most likely they would not be able to attend school. So I'm going to give you a few statistics about the MHP program and the success that we've had and hopefully will continue having. So nationally, less than 50% of pregnant and parenting teens earn high school diplomas. For us, our MHP students have earned, we have 70% of our students have earned their diploma throughout the years. And we want to increase that and get it on par with the rest of our student population. Nationally, 50% of babies born to teen mothers have low birth weights. 92% of MHP babies are born at or above normal birth weight. It's because they get that pre and postnatal care right away. And 72% of the babies in Tulsa County receive necessary immunizations. And because of our partnership with St. John Health System, 100% of our MHP babies and infants will receive those immunizations. And then approximately 1,250 teenagers in the Tulsa County area become pregnant each year, and 20% become pregnant again before the age of 20. Fewer than 5% of our MHP students experience a second pregnancy while they are in the program. So we want to continue this program. We really think it's vital to help these teen mothers graduate from high school so they can be contributing members of society. So I want to now bring Ms. Galloway up here. She is the principal of the Margaret Hudson program, and she has worked so hard in getting this going because we've had really about 3 weeks to get it all together before the start of school. So I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Galloway.
Good evening, Vice President Kelly, Dr. Dunlop, members of the board. It is a pleasure to be here, and I have to apologize. I always go to the dentist on important nights, and so I had a 4 o'clock appointment, so I apologize and hope I don't drool. But it is such a pleasure to continue this partnership and add new partners to our district, and I can say that it has been great. Even with the relationship that we've had with Margaret Hudson, their board, Ms. Tillman, they have been so cooperative with us. Anything that we needed, Ms. Tillman, she was right there for me. We've had several conversations and meetings with Blossoms as well as St. John Health Systems. So we're very fortunate, and I want to thank you for stepping up and taking the bull by the horns, per se, and making sure that our teenage parents have what they need to graduate from high school. And right now we have 12 students who are confirmed who are coming back, but I'm getting more phone calls. I got a phone call today, and I said, one of the students, she said, I'm ready to come back. I said, well, I didn't think you were coming back. She said, Ms. Galloway, you know I was coming back to see you. And so that did my heart great to hear that. We have mailed out 23 letters to current students and potential students. Had many meetings over the summer with St. John Health Systems, and I tell you the support that they're providing with us, with their physician residents, nurses, they are just on the ball. Anna Smith, she was like, okay, let's reach out for supports. What can we do for resources? And we just want to make sure that we're establishing a stable foundation first before we add anything else. The services that we currently are putting in place, we have the counseling with Daybreak, the parenting and pregnant classes with the St. John Health System, lactation services. We began to have conversations about the nurse, and not sure, we may have a great plan. Dr. Mills, he was all on board and very receptive. We have our CEP program that we're going to partner with the high school so our young ladies and males can go over to Blossom's Child Daycare to actually participate and be workers and receive credit for that. Of course, we have our family and consumer science classes that we will continue as an extension of their education. Our academic counselor this year will actually be on site since we have moved over to the Options Academy, and that's going to be very vital in having that partnership and working with her to make sure that the students have the credits that they need. We just have a wealth of services. I've already had people emailing wanting to volunteer at our program, so that's great. We've always had great community support, and we appreciate that. The child care with Blossoms, I have had several conversations with Celeste, and we are having an open house on the 16th, and they will serve dinner. They want to make sure that our girls feel accepted, and I see that we have Whitney and Tripp at the back. Hello, thank you so much for coming. And they have just been great. We took a tour last Friday to the Margaret Hudson site, and Margaret Hudson has just been so gracious. We are projecting that we will have a child care on site because that's vital to our students as well. And so we went in and took a tour, and Celeste, she said, well, and Whitney, she was there and said, let's just take everything because we want to make sure that we have a stable foundation. And Ms. Tillman, she said, okay, we will inventory it. And I said, this is a lot. Do you need me to help you? And she said, no, me and Ms. Rourke, we have it. So I appreciate that support. So we even have equipment and materials for our baby and furniture for our babies when we get ready to move it over to the site. That is our long-term plan. We have also decided that we want to make sure that we are doing things decently in order. So the furniture and everything that is donated from Margaret Hudson will be donated to the Broken Arrow Foundation. And then we will take ownership as a district for those materials and furniture, and we will dispense it and supplement what Blossoms already have in their child care. Oh, a very important thing for our St. John Health System, we also have talked about setting a doctor's office up close to our campus so the girls can go for their appointments and then be able to come back to school because it's vital to keep them in school. And talk about the critical care and why we do what we do. We always talk about the why. And I received a note from a grandparent who has her granddaughter, and she's the guardian for her granddaughter. And this was a surprise to me, and I thought about, this is why Broken Arrow is so great and why we do what we do. And so I wanted to share that with you. It says, Mrs. Galloway, I want to thank you for all the things that you have done for our granddaughter and myself. I did not know where to begin when all of this happened to us. I am determined that her granddaughter will get a good education. You did not throw her out of Margaret Hudson, which she did deserve, but you gave her another chance. I will never forget that. I wish you much love and happiness. This is why we do what we do. So thank you, board. Thank you, Dr. Dunlop, Dr. Coates, and thank you to the Broken Arrow community. I got to leave because I promised I wouldn't cry after I read that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Galloway. And I would like to have our representatives from Blossom to please stand up. We've got Whitney and Mac McCroy. They have... We appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for partnering with us. We look forward to an outstanding future with you.
Okay. The next item, Ms. Jennifer Peterson.
Good evening again. Tonight I bring to you a discussion motion and vote on motion to approve or disapprove our student handbooks. Basically at the elementary level we were just streamlining, making sure all of the links that are embedded that have board policy are correct, and the same was the same with our middle school and our high schools. We're just making sure that they're streamlined, that they're consistent from site to site, making sure that they have the links. And so that's basically it, just making sure that they're a little more user-friendly whenever you're online with them.
So from the standpoint of accessibility, since we're in the technological age, we have very little requests for paper copy. Is that correct?
That's correct.
For the most part, people are accessing it and getting the information.
Yes, they're all online, and then we just make sure that our parents know that they are available. If they cannot get to them online, we'll make sure that they have one.
Okay. Any questions? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the student handbooks for all sites for the 2017-18 school year. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Okay, and the next thing is a discussion motion and vote on motion to approve basically the startup of all of the materials that Timber Ridge needs. Do I have to read off every one of these?
Please don't.
Every single one.
Okay, because
I'm
I was
just kidding.
thinking, do I read all of those? Or, no, the only one I really wanted to point out that we wanted to put on here was the one for Lakeshore, which was $96,196.71. That was where the bulk of our order came from. And so we just wanted to make sure that you were all aware of where those items are
All
coming
right.
from.
If there are no questions, I'd entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the vendor awards for the stated amounts noted in item number 75. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes. The next item is under business services. Ms. Natalie Enid.
Good evening, Vice President Kelly, Dr. Dunlop, members of the board. We were very relieved to close out the 16-17 school year. As you know, the spring semester was a little turbulent for us, and so we kind of look forward to a quieter month in July. Not much activity really goes on in July. We don't start receiving our state aid payments until August. Really, July is just kind of watching to see what our allocations will be. So you know, we're looking at about $3,040 per weighted ADM to start out with for the 17-18 school year. We left off 16-17 at $3,005. So again, these are just very tentative numbers at this point. We will be watching to see how revenue collections come in and what happens in our legislative session with some of the revenue raising measures that were deemed unconstitutional and how that will directly affect Broken Arrow. So really in July, all we collect is a little bit of back taxes. Our federal claims are claims that basically happened in 16-17, but we're getting paid for them in 17-18. Timing issue. Building fund, again, ad valorem is the main thing that drives this fund, and we get our big payment for that in January. We are looking at a higher ending fund balance starting out with 17-18, so we'll be in good shape for this fund. And child nutrition, you can see what they've collected for their federal summer feeding program and a little bit in their local sources. When you look at general fund expenditures, I think the most important thing to take note of is we're opening a brand new elementary school this fall. That would not be possible without our bond fund dollars. All of the construction and many of the things that we have purchased to fill it have been purchased through bond funds. It's been a very minimal impact to our general fund, and so we have our great community and patrons to thank for that, because otherwise it would be a direct hit to our general fund operating budget. Building fund, we're always looking for ways to use our building fund legally for those items that are deemed appropriate for building fund, whether that be salaries or the materials and repairs that go into maintaining our facilities. And child nutrition, the big outlier here is they have gone ahead and encumbered this year all up front their anticipated workers' comp expense, which, as you know, is our self-insured separate fund that we have to accrue the liability in. So right now, what is listed for our ending fund balance in general fund reflects our cash balance. Ms. Kathy Mitchum is working on our annual CAFR report that will include all of our accruals and other things. So this balance you see right here is purely cash. That will change as we finish our audited financial statements. Okay. Are there any questions? Thank you. Thank you.
The next item is new business. Seeing that we do not have any new business, we'll move to the next item, which is to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and second to adjourn. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes. Thank you, everybody.